Welcome to the training on the employee labor scheduling. At this point, you should have determined that your employees are on the roster and that you have the appropriate availability for them. If you haven't done that and you need a reminder on that, please refer to the videos on employee roster or employee availability. The next step is going to the labor scheduler. We can do this by going to the operations, labor scheduling, and the labor scheduler, or we can just start typing in labor. This will give us the labor scheduling option, and we would like the one under operations. Under the labor scheduler, we're going to default to this week's calendar. If we're writing the schedule for next week, we could simply click on the following week on the calendar to the left. But we do have the option to go ahead and start the week for this schedule. We can create from a blank schedule, or we can create from an existing schedule. If we create from an existing schedule, it's going to show us previous week's schedules that have been posted. Perhaps we would like to choose a week that has similar sales or similar activities happening, and we could choose a week and just make changes. Otherwise, we're going to start from scratch and create from a blank schedule. You can see to the left here that I have defaulted myself to the bar schedule. You will also have the option to have the heart of house schedule, a hostess schedule, or a server schedule. And depending on your floor plan, you may have some specific schedule to choose from. The first step when we get the schedule accessed is to start off with our projections. Our daily projections are going to let us know what our calculated sales are for the last 6 weeks, plus or minus 1 standard deviation from the mean. What that means is anything really high or really low is going to get dropped out of the average. And we're also going to display last calendar year's sales so that you can see if there's something cyclical that happens on that Friday every year, you'll be able to determine whether or not you need to increase your sales for that. And you can do that by overwriting those in the target sales. This is where we're going to put in what our divisor is going to be for all of our percentages. So we have an opportunity to enter that now. If we decide that we're happy with what the calculated sales are and how we're trending, we would leave those as is. In this particular circumstance, we're definitely going to override. We do have the option here to see what our total target sales are going to be compared to the same calendar week of last year. And we also get to choose whether or not we would like to schedule based on target hours or target labor percentage. This is going to require you to do a little bit of math to determine what our weekly end is supposed to be based on $79,100 in sales and how to break that up appropriately. We do know that historically we are going to run a little bit higher labor percentage on Mondays and Tuesdays and typically run a lower labor percentage as we head into the weekend. And we'll click Save. As we're going ahead and starting to schedule employees, the next step that we're going to do is we can see that we have different employees that have an open circle, which is wide open availability. And we can also see availability that is partial, stating that they are available from 4 to 12. You can also see that if you're trying to schedule a date in the past, it's not going to let you do that, and that's for auditing purposes. So we're going to go ahead and schedule Caitlin here. We're going to have to choose her job selection, and it's an AM bartender. And we're going to have the AM bartender come in at 10 o'clock in the morning to make sure that they have the bar set up and that they have the fruit cut and everything set up and ready to go. Typically, we may have a bartender on for the entire day, and their relief comes in at 4 o'clock, so we've got them scheduled for the 6-hour shift. We can click Save. If we know that we're going to need a 10 to 4 AM bartender every single day, we can hover over that shift and we see the option for copy, edit, or delete the shift. If we want to schedule a 10 to 4 shift for bartenders every day, we can click the copy button. Yellow is going to be people that have the job code but do not have the availability. Red is going to be people that cannot be scheduled for that job code. And green is that they have the availability and they have the job code. We can go ahead and override the employee that does not have the availability and schedule them for that accordingly, but it is going to give us an orange bar to the left saying that this shift conflicts with their availability. So we're going to go ahead and click done. We've basically scheduled all of our shifts for 10 to 4 AM bartender every day. Perhaps we're going to delete this shift since we do have somebody else scheduled and we know that that is an availability violation. So we can go ahead and delete the shift right here. You may decide that you need to edit this particular shift on Thursday. Perhaps the PM bartender can't get there until 4:30. You can go ahead and adjust the time to 4:30 for this particular employee and save the shift. And you will note that that did not change the other shifts that we copied it from, just the one in question. We also have the ability to use the daily view to see when those different people are scheduled. And if you decided you needed to adjust that particular shift, we would go to the Tuesday that we have the person scheduled, and we can also drag the shift to encompass the additional 30 minutes that we wanted that person to be scheduled for, and that's going to save successfully. As we look at the weekly view and or the daily view, you can also see how people's individual hours did update, as well as the hours across the bottom and the percentage of them being scheduled. Let's go ahead and schedule some PM shifts as well. You can go ahead and schedule that PM bar shift starting at 4 PM and running that until close. And click save. And again, if we know that that PM bartender is going to be required on the other days as well, we can utilize the copy and paste button to get the employee scheduled for the PM bar shift as well. We're going to go ahead and click done. And again, we'll see that the hours have updated over here to the left, as well as the hours across the bottom and our percentage for those shifts. As it currently stands, the divisor here for sales is going to be total sales. We do have a version coming in a next release that is going to allow the folks to divide bartenders by bar sales only and divide the heart of house help by food sales only. So we will have some different divisors coming shortly. You can see as we hover over the percentages that our target labor percentage is below 13%, which is what we set for that particular day. So we are trying to get to that percentage as close as possible. Once we've scheduled everybody for our bar shifts that are needed for this particular schedule, we do have the opportunity to go ahead and post the schedule. Posting the schedule does finalize it, but it can be edited if you decide that you need to do that. We also have the option to print our schedule as well as produce a shift card. And the shift card is going to let us see who's coming in and who is their relief. We can also print their total hours so we know who is inching towards overtime in case we know that we need to cut somebody early. If you still need to print a paper copy of the schedule, you can do that as well. And it will print like your regular Excel formats of those shifts. You may also have a need to schedule somebody for a double. If you click on that employee, it says that we are editing the shifts, and that's okay. We can go ahead and schedule this person as some AM relief for the previous bartender. Perhaps they come in at noon and they just stay until 3. You can see that that employee is scheduled for 3 hours when we click save. We've now added a shift, so there are 2 shifts for this person. Courtney is now scheduled for a double. We can also copy and paste that as we push that into the other, and this is reposting the schedule as we're interacting with it. Again, everything that the employees can do on the employee app, they can also do inside of the desktop version, the managers can. So perhaps Courtney cannot work this shift and she's asked for a shift swap. You'll see that it does default to all of the people that have that job code, and we can put in a reason here that she has a test for school. Once we submit that, anybody that does have the app, it will push to them that the shift is available to be picked up. Again, that's not going to remove that from her schedule until somebody picks up the shift and a manager approves it. This concludes the training of writing a basic schedule inside of Decision Logic.